Hi, Jacob Oberstedt here. I'm doing my week 5 interpersonal communication activity. And that activity choice at the, number 2 for the activity choice, which is components of emotion. And it says, read the situations below and describe how the emotions you would experience might manifest themselves in each of the following areas: physiological changes, nonverbal reactions, cognitive interpretations, and verbal expression. For instance, incident A, your romantic partner says, I need to talk to you about something. Knowing my luck when I hear that phrase, my immediate reaction would be pupils would dilate, or physiological, pupils would dilate. My heart would beat much faster, mouth would dry, my body would, maybe shake, tremble a little bit, start sweating eventually, probably very, very soon, or if not immediate, nausea. And nonverbal reactions would be my body would tense, my eyes would start blinking more rapidly, my eyes would widen, and my stance would switch to a more defensive stance. Probably, taking a step back, broadening out my step, that sort of thing. And that's just a natural reaction for fear. All this would be very much fear-based. Cognitive interpretations. Okay, what did I do wrong? Is this something I should even worry about? How could I fix this? If it is something I should worry about, is she going to leave me? That sort of thing. And my verbal expression, once I finally spit something out, would be something close to, okay, what's up? And all of that would be fear-based. I've had very bad experiences with that, and fear in those situations is a natural reaction. That seems to be a very common factor as I was going through this, that a lot of my reactions would be fear-based or indifferent. Not a lot of these would be too positive. These situations would not derive positive emotions in me, or really anyone, unless they, they interpret it or use what happens to their advantage. For incident B, you run into your ex while out with a new partner. My physiological signs would be my pulse rate would increase, I would start sweating, become nauseous, very anxious too. I wouldn't want to be there. Not at all. Nonverbal, my fist would probably clench at my side. I'd take probably a step in front of my girlfriend at the time, or whatever, and try to put on a brave face, but still be ready to get out there in case things get ugly or unpleasant. I would definitely be worried. That would be something I would not have time to react and hide. By the time she notices me, I would be very worried. Eventually I'd be able to fake a smile, do the whole, hi, how are you sort of thing, and try to bluff my way through it. For verbal, like I said, be like, oh, hey, how's it going, long time, that sort of thing. Just trying to keep it civil, trying to keep it short, trying to get the hell out of there. Cognitive. In my mind, I'd probably be like, oh, man, this is awkward. I really, really don't want to be here. How can I get out of here? How fast can I get out of here? What can I do to end this quickly? I really would hope she didn't start anything with my girlfriend. That would be terrible. And basically, I'd continue on with those feelings and those emotions until I got out of that situation, which would hopefully be very, very soon. Incident C, which would be, as you're telling a story, you notice your listener stifles a yawn. This happens to me constantly. Physiological. Blood would rush to my face. I'd be a bit embarrassed. My heart rate would increase. Nonverbal, I'd probably, swallow fast. My face would flush. My fist would clench up a little bit in anger and a little bit in embarrassment, just trying to relieve some tension. And my body would tense up a bit out of fear of judgment and fear of boredom, rejection, all of that sort of thing. Cognitive. Am I really that boring where you can't sit through this and just even fake paying attention? Is he just tired? Who does he think he is? I mean, I give him plenty of time to tell all of his stories and all that. Why can't he do the same with me? Verbal. Hey, is everything okay? You tired? You want me to stop? Again, trying to be civil, trying to be polite. Just personal. Too confrontational as they have to be. For incident D, your professor says, "I'd like to see you after class." Well, so far in my college career, that has never happened, thankfully. Because that would be a very, very long trek for me to get to Reading. Physiological. I'd break out in a sweat. I'd probably start blushing a little bit if it was in class. My heart rate would increase. Depending on if this has happened before, if this is constantly happening, it's starting to get a little annoying. I could get a little sarcastic, could get a little standoffish with the professor. Nonverbal. If it happens a lot, I would definitely sigh. Posture would slump, I'd be embarrassed. Maybe roll my eyes. If this does not happen, and it could be either a good or a bad thing, my focus would sharpen. I'd sit up straight. I immediately try to right any possible thing that I could have been doing wrong in this situation. Cognitive. Okay, what did I do wrong? Let's recap. What happened? How do I get out of this? Is this anything serious that I should really be worried about? Stuff like that. Verbal. Yeah, sure thing. Try to be as civil as possible and get out of there. Politeness goes a long way, and I'm not a very social person, normally at least. So these are all just past experiences, how I think I would interpret the situation. Incident E? Yeah, incident E. I treated this one, this would be breaking up with a girlfriend or your significant other, whatever it is. Physiological response. My pulse rate would jump very, very quickly. The blood would drain from my face and my arms, and I'd get an instant instinct to just run. I'd start shaking, maybe sweating a little bit. Nonverbal. My jaw would clench a lot. My body would tremble a little. My fist would clench. My leg would bounce, and that's just a anxiety thing that I have. It helps me calm me down and keeps me from moving around all too much. I'm actually doing it right now. It just helps regulate energy and keep me calm. At least that's what I think. My eyes would probably dart around a little bit. Eye contact is very uncomfortable in those situations. Verbal. Cognitive, sorry, skipped one. Okay, I need to do this. I've been thinking about this for a while. Just get it done, get it out of the way, get it over. You can do this. Trying to, boost my confidence here, make sure I'm doing the right thing. It'll be all right. Just calm down, relax. I'm sure she'll understand. And, just rattle things off. Make sure there's nothing that I'm forgetting in my head. Make sure I'm absolutely positive about doing this. And verbal, finally, I just say, hey, listen, we need to talk. And it's just not working out. And I'm really sorry about it. But this is honestly just how I feel. I've been thinking about it for a while. I've tried to hang on, but there aren't any improvements. just need to be done and move on. And for my final incident here would be a car crash. And this is based entirely off of my experience at work. I used to work at a golf course as a groundskeeper this past summer. And towards the end of my career there, I actually did get into a car accident. We have these little carts that we drive around. They're like gators, a lot less powerful, and the frames are a lot weaker. There's no seat belts, and they're really beat up. And what happened while I got into this crash is it had been raining for days on end. We still had to work, but the carts, they did not have good brakes at all. We had this problem, and on this golf course, it's 400 acres, massive, built into bluffs and hillsides. So as we are driving down these slopes and stuff, the brakes would just give out, or they wouldn't work well enough to even slow the car down. And there were multiple occasions where we almost got into an accident because of that. But what happened with me is I was going down a not so steep slope. My buddy who I was working with there, he had already gone down. He had a trailer attached. And he made it down just fine. He had a good cart. I had the worst cart that was there. As I was going down this slope, some golfers were coming up it, and we're supposed to get out of their way, just try to avoid them as much as possible. So I tried to pull off to the right of the hill. That's the only place you could have pulled off. And it was a very steep slope on this side, just very, very steep. And there's a few trees in front of me spaced out evenly. I thought I could just give a quick dart through there, just go down the slope, it'll be just fine. And there's a nice flat bottom at the bottom of the hill. Wouldn't flip it, wouldn't do anything like that. But as soon as I turned my tires to start turning off, the ground was so wet that as soon as my front right tire hit, I lost control and it sucked me in. Everything went in slow motion, and I slammed on the brakes. I was just swearing like there's no tomorrow because I know this would cost me my job, but I really messed this up. And I just couldn't do a thing. The brakes did not work, and all they did was lock up the rear tires. And I ended up just completely sliding into this tree. And if I had been going any faster, if it was going downhill, I might not have been alive. Because what happened is, because there's no seat belts, and this tree was in front of me, I would have flown out of the seat and went head first into this tree. And thankfully it was a slower speed, and I ended up just colliding with the steering wheel. Hit me right here in my lower chest area, and that was the end of it. We had to call boss, and that was just an entire fear-based process because I thought I was just done there. So we yanked it out of the tree and we got going, and it worked fine. There was only physical things wrong with it. The frame was fine. But as I was going through that process, my physiological things, as soon as I hit the mud, all of this kicked in. And the world just slowed down, so I do remember all of it. My heart rate increased a lot. My pupils dilated. My eyes were just huge. Blood drained from my face. The adrenaline kicked in immediately. And my body reacted very violently. I slammed on the brakes with both feet, just trying to get the brakes to even work. And I yanked the wheel off to the side, and it didn't move. The mud had already taken control, but the wheels were already on their sides, so yanking it further didn't do a thing. And the nonverbal was I immediately tensed up. My entire body did. I clenched on the steering wheel as hard as I could, pressed it forward in front of me so I wouldn't launch out. And it was just very fast and violent, my body's response. So I was cognitive. cognitive, my immediate thought was, well, there goes my career here. There goes my $9 an hour. Just a constant stream of expletives were spewing out of my mouth as right before I crashed into that tree. And the golfers and my buddy just looked at me like, you know, they saw that there was nothing that could have been done. But it was like just it was a mix of a bunch of things. I'm not even really sure what it was. But I was just really panicked as I was doing this. And when I finally impacted with it, I just sat back in my seat, looked up at the sky, just to myself, really? I was already having a bad day. This has to happen. I'm going to get fired. That's all I could think of. I'm going to get fired. I needed that money. And 8 hours a day, $9 a day, that adds up really quick. So losing that would not be fun. My boss ended up being very, very okay with it, which was surprising considering I just wrecked one of the maybe 10 cars we had for our own personal use. And me and my buddy, we went and we explained everything, and I'm telling him, dude, just don't involve yourself. I'll take the full responsibility because it was entirely my fault. And he's like, I'll back you up the best I can, but I don't know what's going to happen here. Our boss had a really bad temper. Really, really bad temper. And we did not know how this was going to react. I mean, because he almost took a swing at some of us for just screwing up little things. And we get there, and I tell him, I walk up to him, and I'm like, hey, we had an accident. And his immediate reaction was he just slumped back into the cart that he was sitting in because he was getting ready to go back out and work. He's like, what happened? Explained the whole situation. He just sighed, swore a little bit under his breath, and he's like, okay, I'll follow you. You guys show me where it is. We'll go get the thing out of there. And on the way back, we were driving behind him. He was going first for some reason. And I'm sitting there, my eyes are just wide as when they were in the crash, looking over to my buddy, and I'm thinking, I say to him, what's going on? I was ready to get yelled at. I was ready to get socked in the face. What is going on here? I'm more scared now than I was during and after the crash. And by the end of it, they were all just picking on me, and we were all just laughing about it. So it turned out to be all right, and my fears were pretty unbalanced. They didn't even dock me pay for it. But it's just during the accident, after the accident, when it's something major like that, the reaction doesn't stop for quite some time. Physiological, cognitive, anything like that. It just does not stop for a long time. Anyways, thanks for listening to my activity and my little rant towards the end, and hope you have a good day.